Today we're going to talk about the story of a social media app that absolutely exploded onto the scene. I mean, it was on track to be the next big thing, racking up over 80 million users. But then, it all came crashing down amid some major controversy. Look, you definitely know the big names in short-form video. Of course you do. But what if I told you there was this other rival that for a little while there was actually out-innovating them? We're talking wild special effects and augmented reality that was way ahead of its time. Its story is, well, it's a fascinating and kind of cautionary tale about the crazy world of social media. All right, so let's properly meet the platform at the heart of all this. What exactly was Likee, and who was the powerhouse behind it? Okay, so at its core, Likee was a short-form video app, a lot like its competitors. But here's the really important detail. Its ownership. It was owned by a Singaporean firm, which itself was backed by JOYI Inc., a huge Chinese tech giant with super deep pockets and a massive global footprint in the social media game. And listen, things moved so fast. It was founded back in January 2017 by a guy named Jason He, and originally it was just called Like Video. That name change that happened later on, that's actually a pretty key part of its story, as it tried to really lock down its brand identity. And we're not talking about just some steady growth here. No, this was like a rocket launch. In just its first couple of years, the app didn't just find an audience, it went totally supernova. Just look at this timeline for a second. Within its very first year, it's already getting major props from Google. Then in 2019, you get the rebrand to Likee, which was a smart move to sound a little more fun and engaging, and that happened right as its user base was about to hit a massive milestone. By the middle of 2019, the number was just staggering, 80.7 million monthly active users. To give you some perspective on that, that's more than the entire population of Germany. A huge global community had basically formed in just a little over 2 years. It's wild. So you gotta be asking, what was the secret sauce here? How in the world did it grow that fast? Well, the answer really comes down to its magic features. A whole suite of creative tools that were powerful, super easy to use, and, let's be honest, genuinely addictive. This was way more than just slapping on a filter or trimming a few clips. Likee was giving users these Hollywood-style special effects right in their pocket. Features like 4D Magic let you actually interact with augmented reality stuff, turning a simple video into something spectacular with literally zero technical skill. The whole idea was making incredibly complex effects incredibly simple. But just as the app was hitting its absolute peak, the whole story took a really sharp and serious turn. The very things that made it so successful, that massive active user base, also brought a ton of intense scrutiny. And all of a sudden, the headlines weren't about user growth and cool new features anymore. They shifted to something much darker. The whole conversation turned to these really serious problems that were kind of hiding in plain sight on the platform. The criticisms really fell into 3 big buckets. First, there were major concerns about how user data was being collected and handled. Then, there was the issue of inappropriate content popping up on a platform that was super popular with kids. And that, of course, led to the third point, huge risks to child safety. Now, the company did respond. They added parental controls in 2019, but watchdog groups immediately pushed back. They tested the features and basically called them ineffective. It was a classic example of a solution that, looked good on paper but just didn't hold up in the real world. And then came the biggest blow of all. In June 2020, the Indian government, pointing to data and privacy issues, banned Likee completely. And it wasn't just Likee. It was banned along with 58 other apps. The official reason they gave was pretty stark. They called it a threat to the sovereignty and security of the country. And just like that, the app was gone from one of its largest markets. So, after all that, what is Likee's legacy? It's really not a simple good or bad story. The platform had this dual identity, and that split tells us so much about social media today. On one hand, you had this vibrant, exciting hub for creativity that brought a lot of joy to millions of people. But on the other hand, it became this huge cautionary tale, a perfect case study in just how hard it is to moderate content and protect young users when you're operating at that massive global scale. The story of Likee really leaves us with this one critical question that honestly applies to every single app on our phones. In this relentless race for our digital attention, what is the right balance between pushing for new, cool innovation and just making sure your users are safe? It's a question the entire tech world is still trying to figure out.